Check out this sweet new espresso glass. I got this in the P.O. box the other day. My man Robert sent it. It's all curvy, double-walled glass. Really appreciate it, man. Brings out my inner coffee nerd for sure. Okay, so this video, this whole story is kind of crazy. I made some personal mistakes that I'm not afraid to admit. We'll go over that. But I think the overriding theme, which you can probably tell by the title already, is that some people are extremely crazy and they will go through great lengths to crush anyone that's having any bit of fun. Karens, as we might call them, or the male equivalent of the Karen. Before we get into the whole story, I want to give you guys a reminder. Right now, we are doing an epic giveaway through Risky Biscuits Co. We just released 3 new t-shirts and 4 new hoodies on the site. For this giveaway, I'm giving away an introductory tandem flight with me on the tandem trike. So one subscriber, one person that wins this giveaway, I will be taking up for a flight. We're gonna fly around. I'll teach you some about the controls. We'll make a video about it. It'll be a really cool experience. I'm so glad I can share flying like firsthand with people now. So in order to enter this giveaway, go to tuckergott.com. Every $5 spent on the web store gets you 1 entry to win. So you can participate as little or as much as you really desire. Until the 20th of October, we're also including one of these sweet new sticker decals. Second, to make sure you're fully entered, go to the giveaway form available on the website, fill that out with your information. Also make sure you check out the link in the description for the full contest rules. This giveaway is ending the 31st of October, so make sure you get your entry in before the end of the month. Okay, so where do we even start? Some of you guys may be familiar with the Balloon Fest that I fly pretty much every summer. I've been doing it for years now, even before I was really making YouTube videos. I go out and fly around the Balloon Fest because it's a ton of fun. Over the past 2 years, it seems as though this Balloon Fest has kind of gotten, I don't know, cursed or something. The one time I flew there, given I was doing nothing wrong, but I got reported to the FAA. Eventually I sorted out with the FAA, found I was doing nothing wrong. Last year we went there and someone called the police on us. That was a YouTube video. The police came out and they were just interested in checking out the paramotors. They had no issue with what we were doing. Once again, we were doing nothing wrong. This year, the Balloon Fest was actually moved to a different location because of COVID, but I decided to launch from the same park that I normally fly from. Because of the wind direction and everything, I could get there and get back with no problem. So Jacqueline and I roll up to this site. It's a park that we fly out of very often. It's one of the coolest sites. It has some of the most beautiful fields to fly around. So I was stoked and we show up. The winds were still a little bit strong, and in order to chase down hot air balloons, you kind of have to launch early to get out there because the balloons kind of launch earlier than we normally do. What I'm saying was the winds were still a little bit high and Jacqueline wasn't comfortable with the conditions. So the plan was I was gonna go out, fly around the balloons, make my video, and then I was gonna return before sunset when the winds had calmed down and go fly with Jacqueline closer to sunset. So I filmed my little intro for the video. I made a joke about the whole cursed thing with this Balloon Fest of getting reported or police being called. I did a little t-shirt swaparoo and I had my Do Not Report Tucker Gott to the FAA t-shirt. All right, motor is ready to go. Helmet is ready. I've got the chase cam tonight to get footage with the balloons. Only one last thing to do. It seems only appropriate that I wear this particular t-shirt for this occasion, just for good luck, just to remind people, don't do it. I know you want to. I know you're sitting in your mom's basement with a load of potato chips and a big gulp soda. Don't do it. I was just joking around, but little did I know it was kind of foreshadowing. So everything's going well. I get set up, I take off. The air's not bad. It's just not good enough for Jacqueline to feel comfortable in. Pay attention to this part because this is kind of important. When I took off, I was kind of in a hurry to get up and out and over to the Balloon Fest. So what I did is I took off over the park and I climbed at full power directly above the park until I got above the nearest hilltop peak.
All right, off to a perfect start. First step, we're gonna get a bunch of altitude. Then we're gonna speed bar straight across the reservoir. So I'll see you guys when we link up with the hot air balloons. Hopefully this is all timed right.
And then I jetted straight towards the Balloon Fest. My noise impact from this site on that specific day was absolutely minimal. Within a few minutes, I was high enough that the noise was probably a slight drone, and then I beelined it straight to the balloons. I literally got on my speed bar, hustled over there. I made it just in time as the balloons were taking off. I got to fly around the balloons. I mean, it wasn't anything that special because a lot of the balloons took off and flew right over development, and I can't fly over people on the ground. So I kind of stayed a little bit farther away from the balloons on the whole flight. It was fun though. I spent some time looking at the balloons, making my video, but I was satisfied. So I started to depart the area that the balloons had launched from, and I pulled out my phone, and I was just about to send Jacqueline a text to say, hey, I'm on the way back, how's the winds or whatever. And very coincidentally, Jacqueline was actually calling me right at that moment I pulled my phone out. So I quick powered on my Cena Bluetooth headset, answered her call, and this is when the flight started to get a little more interesting.
Hello? Yeah, I just turned my Bluetooth on. What's up? Yeah, I'm just astonished. Okay, do you want to call the police and report his license plate, and give the police the video, because that's got to be harassment or something.
So Jacqueline starts to describe this situation to me. She says she's in the truck driving away from the park and she's getting chased. Now, to back things up a little bit, Jacqueline was at the park with the truck and the paramotor. She was gonna leave real quick and go to the bathroom at a local gas station or whatever and be back by the time I got there. So Jacqueline was just starting to pull out of the parking lot, and she saw this black truck come in kind of aggressively, and the truck swerved in front of her to try to block her path. She said she actually cut the wheel, hit the gas, and screeched the tires to get around this guy because it was evident that he was trying to block her into the parking lot. Now, mind you, from the moment this guy showed up at the park, he could see that this was a young, small girl all alone in a truck. There was no one else with her, but yet he decided to try to block her in. Anyway, Jacqueline maneuvers around this guy, starts to exit the parking lot. He bangs a U-turn and starts following her out of the parking lot. Now, she gets a little bit freaked out by this, as anyone would, and she starts filming on her phone for documentation reasons. So she kept going and going a couple miles away, and the guy was right on her tail. Eventually, she gets to a stoplight and she's forced to stop.
Oh God, here we got a red light. All right, so I was just at the park, and this guy in a black Ford F-150 pulled up, and as I was leaving, he tried to like aggressively drive at me head on and like block me in to the parking lot. So I went to go left and he went left, so I quick like rolled the wheel all the way right, screeched the tires, and peeled away. And now he's following me. I'm kind of freaked out, and I don't want to pull the female card, but I'm alone. I don't have any protection. There's no guys with me, but he's literally tailgating me. He's right behind me. I'm kind of freaking out. I don't know what he wants. I don't know what he wants to talk about. Just the way he went about the initial encounter was a little too aggressive for my liking, and I don't really know how to handle it. There's a part of me who just kind of like wants to figure out what he wants, and then there's also a part of me that, oh shit, he's coming out. He has an ordinance against us. He has my plate number. The cops will be called.
From this point on, after he saw that she was filming, apparently he diverted, he went somewhere else and stopped following her. So she's telling me this whole story while I'm flying, and I'm, in a headwind trying to get more altitude, and I'm like, I feel so helpless. She's out there somewhere in the truck with this guy right now, like live in the moment following her, and I can't do anything about it. I'm just stuck in the sky. I felt helpless. So basically, we made the plan that I was not going to return to that park, and nor was she. So what we did was she diverted to a different park and I diverted as well. It didn't change my flight that much, and I could actually get there faster. Somewhere in the middle, we decide to get in touch with the police because at this point, she felt threatened for her own safety. And I think what that guy did was very wrong. And at very least, we wanted to get in touch with the police and have a report or whatever. Turns out they had already gotten a call from this guy, and his report was that he saw a paramotor take off from a park, he got their license plate, blah, blah, blah. So basically the plan we made with the police was that they were gonna go take care of him wherever he was, and then afterwards they would come to our location, which we told them was the second park. So I land at this park, Jacqueline's there already, and I pack up my gear and we start to wait. Now, like all my interactions have gone with the police, it's always been super positive. If you guys remember the video where I flew around the balloons last year, I think it was, and as I explained, someone had called the police. One of the police officers that had shown up, the female officer, actually showed up to this. So she had some background on who I was, what I do. They had actually seen the video, so we all kind of had a good laugh that they were on YouTube, and they basically described the story they got from this individual, and we described our story. And what we found was that our story was a bit different than what he had told them. He never really said that he chased this girl down, got out of his truck, and beat on her window. Jacqueline was able to show the officer the video of the guy approaching her vehicle at the traffic light, and he was very surprised. He was like, well, he didn't tell me that. So the part where I messed up was that, lo and behold, I did not realize there was actually an ordinance put in place at this park that said you cannot take off or land any aircraft. And it does specify specifics that would apply to me as a paramotor pilot. Obviously, if I had known about that ordinance, I would have never been operating out of that park, but here's kind of the catch. So I made my first flight, I believe, from this park in August of 2018. At this time, as I do with any new park I go to and fly from, I pull up the ordinances and I check and see if there's anything regarding aircraft or taking off or landing, and there wasn't. So I went ahead and flew, and obviously I've been flying there for over 2 years regularly. It's one of our spots that we kind of frequent. Turns out in December of 2018, that ordinance was actually put in place after my first flight there. Now, I guess my fault was that I didn't check the ordinances every couple months or whatever to see if anything was ever added. But the interesting thing is that ordinance, when it was put in place, was never posted. Typically, at all the other parks I've been to that have created ordinances, they put signs everywhere. At least 2 to 3 signs have been put at every park that I've seen an ordinance put in place for flying aircraft. There was absolutely no signs ever put in place at this park, and even to this day, months later, there still is no sign regarding aircraft flights from this park. So my fault is that I could have looked up current ordinances every single time I went there, but on the township side, they never posted anywhere that there was this ordinance. And it's kind of weird because you would think that if they put this ordinance in place, it was as a result of observing paramotors flying, and you would think that something would have happened in the last 2 years where someone would have been like, hey, we made this ordinance. They'd come out and say, sorry, you can't fly here anymore. But no one ever did. You know, we had the police called once, but the police didn't care back then. The ordinance was in place back then, but no one was aware of it, and no one was there to really enforce it. I understand if people are upset about the noise of paramotors. There's always someone out there. But the right thing to do if you don't like it is approach the township and say, hey, I don't like this. Can we present an ordinance or whatever? Or if there is already an ordinance, you call up the police, you call up the township, whoever you gotta call, and let them deal with it. They're the law enforcement, not you. And even if you did want to take it into your own hands, you could do it politely and pull up and say, hey, I see you're flying these things. I don't necessarily appreciate it, and I have a printout right here that shows an ordinance. If he had done that, I would have been grateful. I would have looked at the ordinance and said, hey, I never knew this was a thing. Thanks for bringing it to my attention because I don't want to break any laws and I won't be back here. We could shake hands and go on our merry way. All right, so overall conclusions, obviously, never underestimate how far people will go. Second thing to learn and take from this is really be aware of your ordinances. Like, it's my policy, if I'm going somewhere new, a new park, I'll pull up the ordinances and check. I'll look around for all the signs and check. And that's what we did, but I didn't really keep up with it after we went there initially. So I guess I'll be more aware of that in the future to try to keep up with things. Before we go, I want to give you guys one more reminder. Check out the new merch linked in the description. I got my new shirt on right now. I'm really happy with all the designs, and also make sure you get entered into the giveaway. Fill out that second link in the description for the giveaway form. And I'm really stoked to be able to make a video and go out and fly with a subscriber and see someone, hopefully someone that's just watched the videos and always wanted to fly but didn't have the opportunity. I'll get to actually take them into the sky, and I think it'll be really cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed my story. Be safe out there, have as much fun as possible, and I'll see you in the next episode. Till then, peace.